We live in a time where it is quite common to come across this addiction. Almost everyone has experienced the addiction of corn and pea. We've all come across it at one point or another, whether we've been looking for it or not. Most of the time, it's the latter. In my country, 1 in 4 people will come across sexually explicit content before the age of 12. And the statistics are only going to get worse. The age is only going to get younger. The more that this starts to become normalized across the media, it's going to become more and more of a problem as we go on. For the past year, I've been in a battle to beat this addiction. And in this video, I want to share a method that I've been using to drastically reduce the amount of times that I fap. I never really was one to fap every day, but this has helped me reduce the numbers. Either way, the problem with P is that it's everywhere and it's so easy to access. So many people will come across corn when they're not even looking for it. It's a scary thing. We live in an age where there are literally people that can promote their OnlyFans on a platform that kids have access to. That's only going to make the kid curious. What's an OnlyFans? They're going to figure out eventually. And we're just allowing them to promote the stuff on platforms that kids can access. And this is normal. This makes me so angry. Because of this, we have to fight against this addiction which is put onto us by everyone. The media wants us to be lustful. Because when we're lustful, we can't be our own person. If we aren't in control of our own desires and urges, we can't really escape. I hate to use the term escape the matrix. It's more the fact you see through what these companies are doing. That's the way I like to do it. That's the way I see it as. Seeing through these companies. And I believe that not letting your sexual desires be used against you is the key to breaking out of this mold and getting away from these companies that profit off your lust. No matter what we do throughout our lives, we're going to encounter sexual desire at some point or another. And the way we've been conditioned is that when we get a sexual desire and urge, we go fat. But this doesn't have to be the case. Because the way that this works is we can't handle the energy and we have to release it. So by that logic, we can take that energy and release it in a way that actually benefits us, rather than just having a spasm of ejaculation. We can take that energy and put it towards something productive, such as work. The people who are top tier men will take their sexual desires and use it in their work because they understand how powerful that energy is. That energy is sexual desire. They understand that they can use it for other purposes, and they don't have to go fat to get rid of the desire, because they can handle the energy and put it into something productive. This is the ultimate goal that we want to get to. This is the place we want to be. And the way to get there is to just fap less. So the ultimate end goal is to not fap at all. The reason I say this is because if we are able to control our sexual desire, then we have way more control than the average person over willpower. And I believe willpower is one of the most important skills for anyone to have. As if you have strong willpower, you are always going to do what you know is the right thing to do. Because I believe willpower is obviously the idea of not doing something when you want to do it because you know what's best for you. So this is training your willpower. I believe discipline is a bit more easy of a skill to do because you just got to do something. Willpower is actively not doing something that you really want to do. It's easy to motivate yourself to do something when you know that there's going to be benefits. But when you motivate yourself to do willpower, you know there's going to be benefits, but you're going to miss out on that high dopamine activity that will give you that release that you're searching for. But you have to actively choose the longer form tasks that'll give you higher dopamine spikes and raise your dopamine levels. Fucking hell, I'm out of breath. I need a drink. Hydrate yourself, boys. Hydrate yourself. Don't click off. Alright. So, I'm guessing if you have been trying to quit this addiction for a while, you've almost certainly heard of the NoFap movement. The NoFap movement is the idea of not fapping. It's as simple as that. Because the way that we do this is we just don't fap or watch porn. This is a great concept because, like, why wouldn't it be? So we see these videos on NoFap and we start trying. And we fail and fail and fail. We keep failing. How could this be? We want to stop, but we can't. Well, think about it this way. Most people who are trying to quit an addiction of fapping have been doing it for several years, if not longer. But this means we've put in enough repetitions to make it a habit, because our brain knows that we'll get a strong release by doing it, and we've just conditioned our brain to chase that high of ejaculation. So when we try and quit, what do we expect to happen? Our brain is still going to be wanting that ejaculation release because that's what we've conditioned it to want. So of course we're going to fail if we're trying to go from fapping every day to just completely stopping it all. This is why the cold turkey approach is almost completely ineffective for everyone. I know a couple of people that it's worked for, but basically everyone else that I know has tried cold turkey and it doesn't work. This is because that's just what our brain is wanting. Our brain wants that release of ejaculation. So for the people that go on cold turkey for it to work, they basically need something that they're really focused on, that they can put all their attention into, so that they don't use those urges and just go fat. This important thing is almost impossible for everyone to have. So that's why I propose the idea of a new method. Before I mention this method, we need to start by helping ourselves. Remove all the triggers that will set you off. You probably know what these triggers are: TikTok, Instagram. Unfollow all the accounts that get you your urges. And I would even suggest taking it a full step further and uninstalling the apps completely. This is the entire reason that I uninstalled TikTok. Alongside wanting a good attention span, this was the main reason, because I wanted to reduce the urges. So I had to uninstall it. So start by reducing your urges. That'll help you out a lot. And then you can move on to the next steps. Because if you are keeping these apps around, you're just shooting yourself in your foot. You're setting yourself up for failure. You know why you're keeping these apps around, because you want to see the thing. But deleting them means that they're gone. And those urges will reduce because you're not able to just search for these things. So delete those apps first before you start. If you really, unless you absolutely need them, just unfollow the accounts and try and use them less. This really helped me at the start to reduce the amount of times that I fap. If you're not getting as much urges, then you're not going to have to even use your willpower as much. And you'll see a drastic change already. It won't completely stop you getting urges, but it'll reduce them quite a bit. The framework that I like to use for NoFap is rather not NoFap, it's just fapping less. I think NoFap is stupid for beginners because it makes them have the expectation that they can just all of a sudden give up the habit. Well, I'm sorry to say, for most people, this isn't going to be possible. You've built this habit over several years and you think you can just throw it away just like that. It's probably not going to work. So instead, I promote the idea of fapping less. What could this mean? Well, I want you, if you really struggle with this addiction and it's something you do every day, I want you to start by tracking the amount of times you do it a week. Every time you fap, write it down. Write down the amount of times you fapped in that week. And then try and reduce it by 1 or 2 the next week. The whole idea is to just slowly bring yourself down. So let's say you fap 7 times a week. The next week you want to do 6. And slowly bring yourself down. Now, once you've done that, and you've got down to like 0 or 1 or a manageable number, focus on a monthly tracker. Track the amount of times you fap each month. And the same concept applies here. Try and reduce the number. Sure, you might have irregularities that might go above or be equal to it, but that's not the point. The whole point is to try and do it less. This is something I like to call progressive deloading. It's the same concept as progressive overload, except it's in reverse. It's like a drop set, but what you're doing is you're reducing the amount of times you do the habit and therefore weakening the neural pathways that you've formed. So if you fap 29 times a month, the next month, try and bring it down to 28, then 27, and so on until you reach your desired goal. I'm still on this journey myself, but I've found since I've started doing it like this, relapses have not held as much weight over me. I used to feel awful after a relapse, as I should. That's how it should work. You should feel guilty about relapsing. But now that I've done it like this, it's just part of the process. I'm still reducing the numbers, so the relapses don't matter as much. And this is way better for your mental health and gives you a more realistic expectation of what is achievable. This is not what YouTubers tell you. All these YouTubers who are on NoFap have been on it for years. All these multi-million subscriber YouTubers have been on it for so long. So no wonder they don't really struggle with it, because they've beaten the habit. Most of them will say that they struggled at the start because they did. It's because they didn't have a reason to stop fapping, and they had an unrealistic expectation that they could just stop. Well, doing it like this and progressively deloading the amount of times you do it, it's way more manageable. Sure, it may take a really long time, but so did forming the habit. Think about the amount of repetitions you've put into forming this habit over years in most people's cases, and you just want to quit it straight away. Of course, that is what we want, but it's not going to work. So you have to just start by doing it less. That's the way to get down your numbers. To finish off, I'd like to make one suggestion. When you're relapsing, I would like to suggest don't watch corn and do it quickly. If you know you're going to relapse, don't waste time. That is one of the main things that happens from this addiction. You lose so much time trying to find the perfect video. Dog, be quiet. You waste so much time looking for this perfect video. And that is so valuable. That time is so valuable. So if you fap without corn and you don't watch and you don't take too much time, then even though you're still doing the bad thing, you're just reducing the negative effect it may have on you. The main problem here is corn. It's not fapping, it's corn. Fapping is bad, obviously, and we want to get rid of it. But the main thing is desexualizing our mind. And the only way we can do that is by not watching corn. So, if you are relapsing, which you are probably going to do, I ask that you don't watch porn. Because at least you are going to desexualize your mind while you're slowly beating this addiction. Slowly you're going to beat the urge to watch porn, and then slowly you're going to beat the urge to fap. I love you all. Stop consuming and go create. What is dog doing? Dog was barking. Dog. You were barking. Why were you barking? Bark. Don't bark. Anyway, I love you guys. Give me a kiss.